So there is a woman who lives in, I think it's Tehran. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I'll link the article in the description below. But there was a woman who was blinded by some scumbag with an acid attack. He threw acid on her face and it disfigured her, and I think made her blind in at least one eye. But the point is, she was horribly scarred, and her life will no longer be the same by this scumbag. And the reason why he did it was because he was obsessed with her, he wanted her affection, he wanted to marry her, and she refused. And so he took revenge, and now she's horribly scarred. And the government, whatever the government happens to be, I don't know what country it is, it doesn't matter, is letting her essentially do the same thing to him, and dropping a few drops of acid into his eyes so it blinds him. And I agree with that completely. There's a lot of idiots who are saying that this is not right, this is revenge, it's not justice. You know, I would really like those morons to tell me exactly what is the difference. I would like to know what the difference is. Because there is no difference. In this country, we do the same fucking thing. The number one reason for why we punish anyone in this country is out of a need for vengeance, for revenge. We want to make bad people suffer, so it makes us feel good. That's it. It allows us to just satisfy that urge for revenge. I'm not saying revenge is good. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying it's something that human beings have. It's part of our society. Remember, I made a whole video and I asked people, do you think it would be good if we could magically make everyone not feel any kind of feeling of revenge? Would that be a better place? Would that be a better society? And answer, I think, is no. Because then no one would be punished. There would be no reason to not do bad things, because you would never be punished for it. Of course, that is another reason for why we punish people. It's for deterrence. There are many reasons why we punish people. There's two types of deterrence, general and specific deterrence. Specific deterrence would be to deter the criminal, that individual who committed the crime specifically. We want to deter him from doing that crime again. General deterrence would be to make an example out of that criminal and publicly show that if you do bad things, this is what's going to happen to you. So it's going to generally deter other people from committing the same crime. And of course, there are other reasons, sequestering them from society, sequestering bad people from the public, to rehabilitate. These are all lower priority reasons, though. The number one reason is for revenge. So don't get on your high horse and talk about how revenge is bad when it's something that every human being feels. And believe, yes, I don't think there's a single human being on the planet that doesn't feel at least some emotions of revenge. It's just to what degree do you feel it? You're not in this woman's position, so you're not really you're not really in a position to say whether she should feel revenge or not, okay? If that happened to you, it's completely different. And anyone who was in favor for, who was happy that Osama bin Laden died, you're just as bad then. You're just as bad because you wanted revenge too. And like I said before, I don't blame anyone for hating Osama bin Laden and wanting revenge if they have actually a good reason to hate him. It's just that I don't hate him. And I already went into that, so I don't have to go into it again. But I don't blame anyone if they actually do hate him and wanted revenge. Just don't call it justice. That's a euphemism. Just call it what it is. Be honest. If you're gonna feel revenge, be fucking honest about it. Don't be a fucking douchebag. But the thing that really annoys me is like how people are trying to justify their feelings with passages from the Bible like eye for an eye. Why don't you just think for yourself? Okay, you don't have to justify how you feel about this, about justifying revenge with a book telling you how to think. Oh, well, it's okay for me wanting revenge because this book says so. No, think for yourself. You want revenge because that's how human beings are. That's a good enough reason on its own. The only thing I would say about this case is I don't think she should do it specifically. And from my understanding, she's actually going to be the one to physically drop the acid into the guy's eyes. And I'm not saying that she shouldn't do it because it's wrong. If you're going to take revenge, actually, it would feel a lot better if you were the one who was taking the revenge, right? Sure. But the government should be the one doing it, because then it's less likely that people who think that this is wrong and will want to take revenge against her, they'll be less likely to do so if it's the government that's actually carrying out the sentence instead of her. That's the reason why governments are supposed to be carrying out the punishment, because people at large are not going to be taking revenge against the government as easily because it's harder to do so. It's a lot easier to kill this one woman, right? How are you going to kill the government? How are you going to overthrow the government just to take revenge? That's where this revenge cycle thing comes from. Okay, I'm going to take revenge against you, then you're going to take revenge against me, then somebody's going to take revenge against you again. I mean, it's just like a cycle, right? But the cycle ends once the person taking the revenge is very, very powerful, to the point of where it's impossible for somebody else to take revenge against them, or very difficult to do so. It's easier to take revenge against this one individual, this one woman, than it is to take revenge against the whole fucking government, who should be... And that's the reason why the government should be the ones doing it. Because then the cycle ends there, and everyone just has to accept the sentence. That's not to say that people won't necessarily take revenge against her if the government carries out the sentence, but they're less likely to do so, because it at least gives the illusion that the government's the one who is sentencing and carrying out the punishment, rather than this one woman. And I guess that's all I have to say. I believe that this is actually a good thing. This is probably one of the few good things about Islam. They actually, rarely... I think this is a very exceptional case. I don't think they do this that often, but they give criminals the punishment that they deserve. And I believe that this guy is a scumbag, and I feel good that when scumbags suffer. And I know people are going to say, oh, you were saying stuff about Osama bin Laden, blah, blah, blah. I can empathize with this woman more than I can empathize. Like, it's all about the victim and motive, right? It's all about victim and motive. If it's a political thing against a country that I don't care about, like America, because of all the reasons I mentioned in the video, then I can't empathize that well. I don't really care that much. But if it's an individual woman, then yeah, I can. I can empathize more and be sympathetic towards an individual woman, man, or whatever, than a whole government. A whole government, the whole government America, I don't feel much. So I'm indifferent. Anyway, that's it. Nigma Hood signing off.